Okay, in this section we're going to work the abdominals and the lower back. And I think it's very important that you educate your participants into letting them know that they really need to work the lower back muscles in addition to the abdominal muscles for total core strength. It's like working your biceps and never working your triceps, working the front of your legs and never working the back of your legs, and vice versa when you do all abdominal work and nothing for your lower back. Especially now when step is the hottest workout, all over the world basically. People are having a lot of lower back problems and discomfort, and this will help strengthen the lower back for all the leaning that you do coming up onto the step. So I'm going to show you some variations of lower back exercises. There's basically only about 4. I was showed these by a physical therapist because I did have lower back problems, and they've really helped me tremendously, and I try and implement them every single time I do abdominal work so people understand that it's very, very important to work both the muscle groups. It's very important to have balanced fitness to work all the muscle groups and not just do spot training. Okay, the first exercise, you can have your more advanced participants use a hand weight and an ankle weight. I'm going to put that on and show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to take it off to do the exercise for you. Basically, you want to put your ankle weight on first, say your right leg, and you'd be holding the hand weight in your left hand. Okay, what we'll be doing is an opposite leg, opposite arm lift. Okay, you can tell your participants that this base arm, now you notice I do everything on my fist. I can't bend my wrist back. So this is also a lot easier on your wrist instead of pressing down like this. But if your participants have rings on, they're going to want to turn their jewelry inside. Okay, it's also easier if you take this arm a little bit out at an angle as opposed to right up under your shoulder for balance. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like first with the weights. Just a nice easy lift and down. Now you want to make sure that your participants don't do this, that they don't kick. The whole idea is to just strengthen the lower back muscles just a little bit. They don't need to do this hard or wild. You want to make sure you're using fairly slow music. And it's just a nice easy lift. You want to have them keep their head and their neck in line with their body. You don't want to have them kicking up like this. Just a nice easy lift, lifting the arm and lifting the leg. Okay, I usually do 15 repetitions on each side, 1 to 2 sets. Okay, just an easy lift and lower, lift and lower. Once again, make sure they're keeping their head and their neck in line with their body. Lift and lower, lift and lower. I'm just going to do 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. And we're just going to switch sides. Remember, head and neck in line with the body. This arm slightly out at an angle, and lift up and slowly down. Okay, you want to make sure they're doing this nice and slow and tend to hold a little bit more right at the top. And just 4 more. And then we're going to basically do this very same exercise, and we're going to be doing it lying face down on the mat. And last one. Okay, now this is a variation here. I'm going to show you another way you can do this exact same thing up on the bench. You're just going to do the same thing we just did. Opposite leg, opposite arm. I usually have my arm out to the side. You can have them rest their chin right on their hand. You can have them lay their head down like this. I tend to either do this or just keep my head right here. Just a nice easy lift. Now this is a little more difficult than when you're doing it up on all fours, so I usually only do about 8 of these. And you don't get a lot of feeling from working this muscle. You can only feel it just a little bit, but it's something that over time really strengthens your lower back a lot. And let's switch. Other side, 8 times. 1, Once again, you want to make sure they're not up and looking around. That's your job. And 1. Now I'll show you 2 more exercises, then I'm going to come up on the bench and show you the same exercises. So you can use the bench for your advanced participants, or you can do it on the floor, whatever's best for you. Okay, we're going to do a spinal extension now. You just want to take your hands right behind and clasp them, and you're just going to slide your hands right down your behind and squeeze all the muscles of your lower back. Now this you want to do nice and slow, and you want to hold. And you want to release, lift up, squeeze all the lower back muscles, and release. Now you can lift your feet up a little bit, but that puts a little more pressure on your lower back. Okay, so just to be on the safe side, I always tell people, you do what's best for you. You can do it like this, with your feet up, that's more pressure on your back, or you can keep the feet down. That keeps you out of trouble because they're choosing for themselves and you're letting them know what the effects are of both ways. And slowly down. I usually do about 8 of these also. I'll just do a couple more. And slowly down. And 1 more time. And down. Now this next exercise, once again, you can show them a couple different levels and they can pick what's best for them. You want to keep the hips down on the mat. Get your hands to the side. And you're just going to come up. Now you can come up to elbow level. It's the safe way for everyone. Or if you want to come up a little higher, that's okay too. This is known as the Cobra, or I know it as the McKenzie push-up. Once again, you want to hold, and then you want to take it slowly down. Press up and hold, and slowly down. And press up, and hold, slowly down. Now once again, there isn't a real distinct muscular feeling with this. They're going to feel it in their lower back, and they're probably going to squeeze their buns together too. That's okay. And slowly down. But it's not going to be as distinctive as you say, your legs burning or a bicep curl, how that, you really feel that in your bicep. 2 more, but this does feel really good. Just nice and slow. You want to really, really control these lower back exercises and the abdominal exercises. And press up. And slowly down. Then usually when I'm done with that part, I have them come up to their hands and knees and do a cat stretch, where you want to pull your tummy in nice and tight and round the lower back over. Then I usually have them press back, keeping it rounded, and take it back a little bit to your right. And then I have them just relax. Now you can go flat back. I tend to go a little bit more than flat back. That's just me. Flat back is fine. That's what's recommended. And round it up 1 more time, and then press it on back to the other side. And once again, release to where you're comfortable. And then round it up. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple of those exercises right up on the bench. Now, because of the size of this mat, it doesn't really fit very well on the bench. I would recommend that your participants bring a towel in to throw on top of the bench, unless you have a mat that will fit nicely on top of the bench. Now, those same lower back exercises, aside from the first one on your hands and knees, can be performed on an incline. Right here, I'm on 3 and 1. You don't want to go any more than 2 platforms in between. So you could go 3 and 1, 4 and 2, 5 and 3, but you just want to make sure that you're never more than 2 platforms apart. So you wouldn't want to go 1 and 4, basically. Okay, those same exercises you can do on the bench, just lifting and lowering, the opposite leg, opposite arm lift. Then obviously switch to the other side, and up. Spinal extension, you can lift on the bench also. Now this is a little more difficult because of the angle you're on, or slowly down. Now if you're up on the bench, you want to encourage your participants once again to do what's best for them. They can come right down on the mat and do that. They can do all the abdominal exercises on the mat also. Okay, and then also the McKenzie push-up. You can do right here, right to there, or they can push up a little higher, or the elbow level. Okay? Now, what's really important when you're working the abdominals is that you get your participants to think about their abdominals, because most of the time they're crunching away, and they're thinking about their grocery list or their husband or their children or, you know, what they did yesterday. They're not even paying attention to their abdominals. So what I'm going to show you here is how to make sure they're paying attention to their abdominals. They're not going to have much of a choice. Now I'm going to do these first few exercises up on the bench. You can do the exact same thing on the floor. Okay, then there are one or two that I will do on the floor. Okay, we're going to start where they're going to feel it in the lower area of the abdominals, right down here. Now the rectus abdominis is one muscle. It connects down here and up here. If you're working more from this end, you're going to feel it more down there. You don't have a lower section and an upper section of the abdominals. It's one of the few muscles you can work from origin and insertion. So we're working from this end, therefore you're going to feel it more down here. Also, it's more functional to work from the lower end, because very few times do you have to curl down and do spinal flexion like this. It's more up like this. So on a day-to-day basis, you should really work your abdominals more from this end because it's more functional. Okay. Most basic from working from this end is the pelvic tilt. Now, not doing a pelvic tilt by squeezing your cheeks. And anytime we do a pelvic tilt throughout this, do not squeeze your behind to tilt the pelvis. You want to press that belly button down using your abdominal muscles to press right down into the bench, or if you're on the mat or on the floor, you want to press right down into the mat. Okay, now this would be a beginner level exercise right here. You would want a pelvic tilt using the abdominals, pressing that belly button right down into the bench, and hold. Then release. Press down and hold. And release. Now we're going to use this method the whole way through all the abdominal exercises I'm going to use today. Now whether your legs are up, whether they're crossed, or whether you're just laying like I am right now, but you want to press that belly button down into the bench so you're contracting those abdominals already. Okay, what we're going to do first is we're going to take the legs right up over. Now, once again, like when we did the inner outer thigh exercise, you don't want to have their legs hanging out like this because their back is arching. Okay, you want to make sure they're pulled back. Okay, now, unless you're in a club where they do a lot of work from this end of the abdominals, these are going to be hard exercises for people, especially men. For some reason, men never work from the lower end up. They always do the crunches from this end. You really need to focus a little bit more on this lower end coming up. And that's what the most recent studies say. Okay, now you can hold on to the top of the bench. What you're going to do is you're going to press that belly button right down into the bench again. We're going to lift. The legs will lift, as you'll notice, but we're going to press a little harder, then we're going to lower, and then release the belly button. Okay, I'll show you first. What it looks like is you're going to press harder and release. Now, it's a real small, tiny movement. You're going to be able to tell if they're doing it right, because if they're not doing it right, this is what you're going to see. Okay, now you can feel that a little bit in the abdominals, but this is momentum. Okay, we're trying to completely get rid of the momentum and basically force your participants to work their abdominal muscles. Okay, so we'll press harder and release. Press harder and release. Okay, I'm not going to talk through the rest of these because this is a very bad position for the vocal folds. Two more. And one. Now we're going to do that exact same thing, only we're going to just press and release. Okay, we'll do that 8 times. So you're just going to press, slowly release. You really want to concentrate on the contraction more than release. Some people press, release. You want to press, release, holding the contraction more than the releasing part. Okay, we'll do 8 of these. It's just press that belly button down and release, nice and slow. And one more time. Okay, now what we're gonna do, just gonna start adding in the obliques. Okay, you're gonna drop your left leg down and keep your right leg in. Now this leg here is basically just for decoration. I don't like pulling the legs in and crossing over and all this stuff. I just basically am putting this leg here for decoration, and that's it. Okay, what we're gonna do once again is you're gonna press that belly button right smack down into the bench. Okay, and that is gonna lift your upper body a little bit if you're really pressing that down. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the internal and external obliques. So you're gonna press down, you're gonna do a slight little rotation towards this right knee, none of this elbow to knee stuff. Okay, you wanna feel this down your right side with your right knee up, and then you're gonna feel it up underneath the rib cage on the left side. So we're gonna do this nice and slow. What it will look like is press, little turn, back to center, then release the belly button. Now you want to keep that belly button pressed down the whole time because you're contracting the rectus abdominis here, and then you're adding in your external and internal obliques, releasing them, and then coming back down, okay? So we're gonna press, turn, center, release. Press and turn, center, release. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to do basically the same thing, only you're going to slide your foot right up onto the bench and cross this leg over. Now if you're working on the newer step platform, your legs may not fit on here, especially if you have taller participants. You may want to have them do this on the floor. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing, only this time when we turn, we're going to pulse for 3. You want to do nice, tiny, little tight pulses. Okay, so we'll press, turn, 2, 3, back to center, and down. Okay, ready? Here we go. It's press, turn, 2, 3, center, and down. Press and pulse, 2, 3, center, and down. Press, pulse, 2, 3, center, and down. Now every time you say press, there's going to be times you might want to remind them that they're doing that pelvic tilt using the abdominals to press that belly button down into the bench, back to center and down. One more time. Pulse, center. Now we're going to do singles. Press, turn, center, down. 2 more. And down. Okay, now I'm just going to sit up to explain one more thing. It's best that you start working in the lower region first and then add in the obliques and then go to the upper. Because if you start from the upper and do everything upper and upper and upper like this, you're going to really feel a burn when you get down to the lower, because you can't actually work from the lower end and really not feel anything all on the upper end. The muscle is contracting up there, but it's not like the feeling you're going to get when you do everything from the upper and then add the lower in. Okay? So you want to start on the lower, you want to add your obliques in, and then you want to do the upper region. But remember, it's all one muscle. You're just going to feel it more up here. So it's best to start down here. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, you're just going to have both your feet on the bench. Now, if you have the other step platform, you can still do it up here, but you'll have to have your feet on the floor because you won't fit on the bench. Now we're going to add more of the obliques in. You're going to take your left hand, put it behind your head. Your right hand is going to come around and you're going to reach for the right ankle. Don't quite get there, but just reach for the right ankle. So once again, you're going to press that belly button down, doing that pelvic tilt, but using the abdominals. You're going to press, and that will lift your upper body. You're going to reach, 2, 3, back to center, and down, okay? Ready? Here we go. So it's press, reach, 2, 3, center, release. Press and reach, 2, 3, center, and down. Press, reach, 2, 3, center, and down. Press, reach, 2, 3, center. Give me 2 more.
let's just do a few singles. So it's press, reach, center, down. Remind them constantly to press that belly button down. They're really going to feel these exercises, especially the first time you do them. Give me 2 more. They're going to be sore the next day. Probably for the first time in a long time their abdominals have ever been sore. And center. Okay, let's switch totally to the other side. I'm just going to run right through it with as least talking as I can. But just remember, you want to tell them to always press that belly button right down into the bench. And 2 more. And 1 more time. Okay, you want to pull that leg up onto the bench, cross over. Remember, this time we're going to pulse for 3. Press and pulse, 2, 3, center, and down. Now remember, this time you're going to feel it down your left side and up under your right rib cage. Try and get your participants to have more body awareness so they know when they're doing something correctly, where to feel it, what muscle group they're working, why they're working that muscle group. 1 more time. Press, pulse, 2, 3, center. Now singles. Press, turn, center, down. 2 more. And down. Okay, both feet flat. This time your right hand is going to go behind your head. You're going to reach around to with your left hand to your left ankle. So it's press, reach, 2, 3, center, down. Press, reach, 2, 3, 4 more. Two more. 1 more time. And just 4 singles. Press that belly button, reach, center, down. And down. All right, now we're going to go more towards the upper area, but I really believe that you should work more from the lower area and more of the obliques and concentrate a little bit less on this upper area. Okay, you're just going to turn your knees out just a little bit so your feet come in together. You're going to take your hands. Now this is an advanced position for the hands. Okay, if somebody's uncomfortable, they can put their hands right behind their head, but try to avoid having them to jut the chin out to work the abdominals. If they're having a neck problem from doing all this lifting, they can do the pelvic tilt, or they can just do reverse crunches like this. Just a reverse curl right in instead of up like this. You're still working the whole abdominal muscle and more functionally from the bottom. Okay, so you can take your hands right up over, cross them, take them right up over your head. So you're basically cradling your head and your neck in your arms right here. Now once again, press that belly button down, push, and release. Press, push, and release. Four more. And release. Now there's a million different variations you can do for just a regular crunch. I prefer to just do something similar to that. Just put your feet up, hands behind your head, press that belly button down, lift up and hold, and slowly down. Press, hold, and slowly down. Press, hold. But there eyes should be going right about up over their knees. And down. Press, lift, hold, and down. Press and lift, and down. You can do a few slow like that. You can take your legs back out again, one hand behind your head, and do the pulsing right to the center. Remember to press that belly button down. So you'd press and reach, 2, 3, and down. Press, reach, 2, 3, and down. Press and reach, 2, 3, and one more time. Press and reach, 2, 3, and down. Let's just switch sides now. Press and reach, 2, 3, and down. Press, reach, 2, 3, and 2 more. Press and reach, 2, 3, and one more time. It's press and reach, 2, 3, and down. And you can just do your standard crunch with the hands behind your head, but make sure you're getting them to press that belly button down. So you would press, lift, and down. Press, lift, and down. Press that belly button, lift, and down. Or you can press and reach, and down. Press, reach, and down. Press, reach, and, or single arm. Press and reach and switch. Press, reach, and how about 2 more? Press, lift, and one more time. Press, lift, and down. All right, gonna rock it up. I'll show you one more exercise we can do on the floor here. Now this you're gonna feel both in the lower and the upper area of the abdominals. Once again, you're going to rock back and have those legs up over. Okay, you're going to have them start working from the lower end. Okay, so press that belly button down and release. Press and release. Then you can just have them add their upper body. So you press, lift, drop down, release. Press, lift, and release. Okay, so that's just one more variation that you can add in there. These aren't really new exercises. They're all about the same ones, but you don't add the legs in and all the twisting and any of that sort of thing. You're just making them press the belly button down right in to the bench or to the mat so they can feel that contraction. They're really going to feel these abdominals, and you don't ever want to forget to work the lower back also, and do everything nice and slow. And you really need to do this workout. You really need about a good 20 minutes to get a good abdominal and lower back exercise session. Okay, and I'll be right back again with the upper body, and that will conclude the video. I feel like a walking goddamn encyclopedia. Exercise encyclopedia. Same to you. Okay. You ready? Okay, we're going to switch gears and go on to the upper body right now. I'm going to start with back, meaning latissimus dorsi and the rhomboids, and I'm not going to go into all these big muscle groups. You know which ones they are. I'm just going to say back, biceps, chest, shoulders, triceps. Okay, because that's really what you say to your participants anyway. You can tell them all the big, long Latin names. I don't know why they name the muscle groups in Latin anyway. I'll never know. Okay, for this section, this is truly going to be a lot of muscular strengthening work, as opposed to the beginning section where it had to be endurance with the legs because of the consideration that you don't usually have 15 and 20 pound, 25 pound weights in the aerobics room. But here, what we're going to be using are the challenge tubing, 12 pound body bar, 10 pound dumbbells, 4 pound dumbbells.
Okay, now these are pretty good weight to start out with because pretty much everybody can use right around 10 pounds to say do a bicep curl. Your stronger participants can actually hold 2 of the weights together. Or if 10 pounds is a little too much, they can hold the 4-pound weights together for one hand. Okay, the body bar being 12 pounds, so I'm going to show you how to use this as opposed to the dumbbells and how to use the tubes if you don't have either of these and all that stuff. So I'm going to show you several different exercises. I'm really not going to go through all of the exercises, say doing 8 or 10 repetitions, because I'm running out of time. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the upper back and the mid back. Okay? I'm going to be using challenge tubing for this. You're also going to need a mat. I'm going to use a medium tube. Okay? Now what you want to do, you want to slide this tube. I usually slide it under about 3 platforms. We'll slide it under 2 today. And you want to make sure the band's about even under there. Okay? And you also want to make sure people aren't leaning over like this, that they're bending down with the knees. 6 times the amount of your body weight is on your lower back when you're leaning forward like this. Okay, we're going to start out with a low row. Now, you're going to have the handles, 1 in each hand. You're going to place your foot right on the step. Now, if you need more, you need to shorten the band up some, you can back up a little bit and get further away from the bench because that will shorten the bands up so you have to pull further away. Okay? So you want to put your foot on the bench and plant it there really well to make sure that it holds the band down. Okay, you're going to pull your tummy in nice and tight and you're just going to pull back, squeeze in the shoulder blades and out. Pull back, squeeze, and out. Back, squeeze, and out. Back, and squeeze, and out. Now, to make this a little more difficult, you can cross the tubes, okay? But I usually start out with this exercise because you're standing for starters. Also, these exercises, I'm going to show them in random order. I'm going to stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. When you put your own workout together, you're going to try and group all the standing exercises together, and then you're going to slowly work your way down onto the floor. But I'm just going to show you exercises and ways that you can put them together. Okay? Now, what you want to do, I've got my right foot on the bench, so I'm going to take the tube underneath my right leg. So I've got both tubes, both handles, in one hand, and you're going to do that same row. Now, this is going to be more difficult because you've got the whole tube working with one arm. These are the things you need to think about. Instead of doing everything with 2 arms, working unilaterally takes more time, but also it makes the exercise harder. So you're just going to do that same rowing motion, out and out. Pull back, squeeze in the shoulder blade, and out. Back, squeeze, out, and out. Back, squeeze, out, and out. Now, when you have your participants choose which band is best for them, you want to let them know that they only want to be able to do this exercise right around about 10 times. Okay, if they're using, a light resistance band and they could do it 20 times, the benefits are going to be very minimal. Let's do one more of these. Squeeze, out, and out. Then I usually switch legs and do the bilateral row again. Take it back, squeeze, out, and out. Back, squeeze, out, and out. Now obviously the arm you worked is just going to feel this a little bit more, but we're going to work the other arm again too. Back and squeeze. Let's just do one more. And out. Now take the tube underneath, and once again you're going to do that same rowing motion. And you want to make sure your participants have got their hand on their thigh for lower back support and they're pulling the abdominals in tight. Pull it back, squeeze, and out. Back, squeeze, and out. Now because you indirectly work the biceps when you work your mid-back, you can really hit the biceps a little bit more by just changing your motion here. You can turn the palm up. Okay, you can pull back, turn up, out, and out. And we're going to do that a little later on. We're going to do back right into biceps. So your biceps are already going to be a little tired, and we're going to burn them out further. Give me 2 more. Out and out. One more. Squeeze and out. Okay, we'll end up putting this back underneath the bench, but for right now, I'm going to take it out. Okay, now,
I'm going to do a lat pull down this next exercise. Okay, now if you only had dumbbells and a body bar, I'll go right into that, excuse me, lat pull down on hold. Okay, what you can do, and you want to use this body bar with only one hand, because that weighs 12 pounds. If you were doing an exercise using it with two hands, basically you've only got 6 pounds in each hand, which really isn't heavy enough to do effective strength training. So you can put a mat right up on your bench, okay? You've got your right leg on the bench, you've got the bar in your left hand, okay? And you can just lean over, and you're going to do that same rowing motion. Okay, now what I would normally do is I would do the exercise with the bands, and I would go right into this. Okay, I'm using the body bar here. Okay, that would be one way to do it. Or you can use a dumbbell. And what I tell my participants, if you've only got like 5 or 8 pound dumbbells in your gym, I direct you to get some more. But you can double the weights up. That's one way to make it strength training. If you've got 2 5-pound weights, make them use them both so it's 10 pounds. You can do that same rowing motion with the dumbbells. Okay? So if you don't have any tubes, this is what you'd want to do to replace that particular exercise right there. Okay? Now another training method you can do is called breakdown training. Say you have your participants use, say, the 2 10-pounds, and they put them together. I'm going to switch sides. Okay? Now they're only going to be able to do this maybe 8 times, which is okay. You don't want them to use heavy weight so they can only do it like 4 times. 8 is about the least amount of repetitions you want to do. So what you can do is go right into this exercise, especially if you have the tubes and you just use the tubes. Have them do 8. Okay, as many as they can, right around 8. If they can do 10, great. Just have them drop one weight and keep going. Okay, that's called breakdown training. Okay, you want to have them trying to get maybe 8 more out. Okay, now if you have the body bar and you only have little hand weights, you could use the body bar first because it's 12 pounds, and then drop the body bar and pick up, say, your 4-pound dumbbells, or even put the 4-pound dumbbells together, which would be better yet. So you're going from 12 pounds immediately into 8 pounds. Okay, so that is muscular strength, and it's high-intensity training, okay? Because they're going to get a little endurance out of that because they keep going, but it's also strength because they're going to be tired when they put that down and be like, ugh, okay? So let's do a quick review of all that, okay? The tubes, if you have the dumbbells, go right into this exercise, okay? Preferably do a breakdown training set here, where actually what you're doing is also considered superset training because you're using the bands, you're doing it from this position, and then you're doing it a little bit more bent over. So you're hitting a little different angle of the muscle, and you're working them right in a row. You don't want to take too many breaks in between these. You want to use the tubes and boom, pick up the dumbbell and move it, okay? So that's one back exercise. Now, as I was saying, a lat pull down, when I forgot what I was doing. Does that happen to you in class? You forget what you're doing? I hate it when that happens. Okay, now, one of the things you want to take into consideration when you do this exercise, I'm a big fan of doubling up the tubes, okay? You want to show it first, wrapped around the hands, okay? So they can use one level of resistance here. If they're strong enough, get them to double up the tubes because they're not going to be able to do it that many times. Probably if you wrap it around your hands, you know, depending on how much slack they really give themselves, you could do it like 15, 20 million times. Get them totally out of that, being able to do something 15 or 20 times. They're not going to get the results they really want, and that's endurance training. And we really don't need a lot of endurance training. We need strength training. Okay, now when you do this exercise, you want to look at their wrists. Sometimes their wrists are going to bend all kinds of crazy ways when you do this. The proper form for this exercise is just down, down, and up. Now what you're going to see happen is some of their wrists are going to bend in. It's because there's too much tension on the band or they're not paying attention. That does happen, as we all know. So you want to make sure those wrists are straight when they do this. Pull down, squeeze the shoulder blades, and up. Now I'm standing at about shoulder width apart, my legs, okay, and my tummy's in. Now you also want to get away from having them squeeze their butt and doing a pelvic tilt. You want to have them pull their abdominals in to do that pelvic tilt, okay? I usually do right around 10 of these, and then if we can, we just go slowly down and up. slowly down and up. And another thing you can do with these, if you're immediately finishing up with the leg workout, you can really continue on with the leg workout and really burn their legs out even more. Go down, down, up, and up. Or you can do a lunge. I'm really not set up to show you here, but you can pull and lunge like that. So that's one way to work the legs a little bit further on. Obviously you're not using any weight, but if they're already tired, you can add that in. But once again, if your legs are already tired, you may want to completely delete that body part. I'm not a fan of working legs and doing bicep curls, you know, while you're trying to do strength training with your legs, because people don't pay attention to which muscle group they're working. But again, if you don't have that much time and you want to, you know, do a little bit more leg stuff, you can add it in with this particular exercise. Now, you cannot do a lat pull down with anything else but tubing, okay? If you're using dumbbells, if you pick up the tubes and somebody else picks up dumbbells and tries to do this, that's shoulders, okay? Or even if they pick up the body bar, this is shoulders because of gravity, the weight. Okay, so this is not working the lats. You need to have something that pulls down and goes in, okay?